Exponential functions. Here we're talking simple interest equations. Interest is generally the idea where you invest money and over time it accrues more value, or you take out a loan and borrow money and over time you owe more. And when we say simple interest, that just means it happens once per year. Most often this is the formula textbooks use for simple interest. First, let's define what each of these variables mean. The I is the interest itself, which is either the extra amount of money that you owe on a loan or the extra amount of money that your investment has earned. P is called the principal, which is the amount of money that you originally invested or the original value of the loan that you took out. The R is the interest rate itself, usually expressed as a percent. And lastly, T is the amount of time that's gone by, usually represented in years. Usually these simple interest questions come in the form of word problems. So let's see a couple examples. No matter what, whenever you have a word problem, the first thing I suggest is trying to locate where your different variables are. For instance, here it says that Josiah deposits $600 into the account, and whatever the person puts into the account, that's the principal. So that's our P. The next thing I see is a simple interest rate of 4.5%. Rate and percent both tell us we're talking R. And a key thing to remember about these problems is whenever you see this percent sign, you'll want to divide that number by 100 and use this value in the formula. Next it says how much interest will they earn, which means the I is a variable we're looking for here. And then they say in 3 years, that's our time. And notice it's also asking how much will be in the account in total. We'll cover that in a little bit. First, let's solve for our I. So now we can just take these values, put them into this equation. So here's what that formula should look like with the values substituted in. Something to notice in this original formula, all these variables are just touching each other, which means the math we're doing here is multiplication. Again, recognize we're using the 0.045 instead of 4.5%. And the variable we're looking for is all by itself on that side of the equal sign, so we can just type this into a calculator. So we get total interest of $81. So if we want to find what's in the account in total, we can use the equation. Total in the account will be equal to the principal plus the interest, which is the original amount that was deposited into the account plus the amount it gained in interest. So if we take that initial principal of 600, add the 81 of interest, Josiah now has $681 in the account. So here's another example. Another big tip with word problems, jump straight to the question at the end and figure out what they're looking for. In this case, the interest rate. Since we don't know the R, now we try to find the other three variables. Here it says Bella took out a loan for $3,000, which would be our principal. And then right after that, it says 2 years ago, which is our time. And then it says she made no payments on the loan, which really just means our principal isn't changing. And then here it says it has a simple interest rate, which is basically saying we're just going to use this formula. And last it says the amount she owes is now $32.50, which might feel like it's the interest, but remember the interest is just the extra on top. This is actually now the total that she owes. And so if the total is the original amount of the loan with the interest on top, if we take the original loan away from the total that she owes now, we get the interest that she owed, which is $250. So now that we have all the values in our formula, we can either substitute them in first or get the variable by itself first, whichever you prefer. Anytime you want to find a variable, it has to be by itself in the formula. Since P and T are multiplying by R, we would want to divide them on both sides in order to get R by itself. Whether you substituted your numbers in first and then solved, or isolated your variable and then substituted. Either way, our answer brings us to 0.0416666667. Now, if you remember from earlier, whenever we would put R into the formula, we would divide it by 100, which means we'd have to take this value and multiply it by 100 in order to get the percent, which gives us 4.167, 4.2%. Thanks for watching as always. Please like and subscribe. Stick around for more videos.